Hey guys, Kevin Shaw here, editor-in-chief of Mopar Connection Magazine. Today we're going to be doing a lot of little stuff with Marsha. We're going to be working on some of the brightwork, some of the emblems. We're going to be working on just cleaning up some of the tiny little details. We got some big help from our friends over at Classic Industries with some paint, as well as a whole lot of bits and pieces and a lot of hardware from our friends over at Year One Muscle Cars. Both of these companies do not have dedicated C-body listings, and that's important. So unfortunately, what that means is that we had to do a lot of digging to find a lot of overlap, whether some parts for A bodies worked, so whether some parts for B bodies or E bodies worked. Turns out that the C body is a little bit of a catch-all for all of these different platforms. So we're going to go through some of the stuff that we found. We're also going to go through some, I would say, less than savory solutions. But again, we're not making a perfect restoration. We're doing a good enough restoration. I would say about an 85 to 90% aesthetic restoration. So hopefully today's video can be a little helpful for you guys who are getting into the weeds on your C bodies, and for a lot of you guys who are looking for a new project car that you can still get into for pretty cheap. Really want to recommend getting into the C bodies, especially considering all the performance parts that you can throw at a C body, because quite frankly, it doesn't care if it's a C body or a B body or an E body. It'll take it all. I mentioned Classic Industries, and something that they had listed is the factory style battery hold down. Obviously this battery is not a factory style battery, as it is quite smaller than the 6-row or 6-cell battery, but our hold down works really nicely. The one thing we had to do was that they rubber coat all of this for anti-corrosion reasons, but the rubber coating went up pretty far on the threads. We had to cut back on the threads just to get the nut to suck down all the way to the core support. Other than that, this is really sturdy and does the job. So you can find a 69 through 72 battery hold down and tray at Classic Industries. We'll put that link up in the corner right there. For right now, we're going to disconnect the battery since we got the door open. Okay, so something I normally don't do, especially just because I'm kind of hot rodding a lot of my cars. I'm modifying a lot of stuff. I'm, you know, messing with unoriginal parts. And a lot of you guys who have been following along can kind of tell that I personally like to Frankenstein my cars. But something that needed to happen was I had to replace the side mirror. The side mirror was completely flopping around, and when we tried to pop the glass and adjust it, the glass shattered, and we found that the pot metal had broken. There was no way to tighten down any of the tightening screws. There's a little plate that goes over the ball here, and that little plate would tighten down and hold some tension for the review mirror. Unfortunately, the pot metal had just given out. The screws had been tightened down, or what, I don't know what happened, but they totally gave out. So unfortunately, the mirror had to go, it had to be replaced. I looked everywhere for this mirror. I looked for every A body, every E body, every B body. I searched and searched and searched. There were some that were close, but not perfect. So I had to reach out to Murray Park, who again has helped us out a lot of times with our C body needs, and he found something that is normally not my style, and that is a factory correct NOS mirror. You can see this thing is the real deal. This is totally legit, factory part number, and you pop the box here and it's a time capsule. It's really cool. So not only do you get the mirror, come on out. So we get the mirror, and you'll see there's no holes, you know, there's no screw holes to attachment. It's with studs and with pal nuts. The mirror is tighter. I wouldn't say great, but it is tighter than what we had before. So we're going to use that. Comes with the gasket, which is nice, with a Chrysler part number on it. And this is the one that made me laugh the most, was you have the official Mopar little envelope with the rubberized pal nuts. Or they're not rubberized, excuse me. But or are they? No, they just have a sealed washer on there. Maybe they are rubberized. They are rubberized for they're weatherproof. Duh, of course. They will be rubberized. So they have these little rubberized nuts so that water doesn't get through. So we're going to install this into our door and put some NOS parts on this car, and we're going to carry on from there. That was a massive pain in the butt, but we got it off.
Mm-hmm.
So
mine's got like one's from the top and one from the bottom. It's weird. Oh.
NOS parts, dude. Marsha's getting NOS parts.
You don't get no better than that.
Yeah, for $175 from Murray for a mirror. Ugh. Well, Jim's gonna hold it and I'm gonna tear my arm up. Hey guys, we're real excited to announce our new shirts for Mopar Connection, including our I Speak Mopar shirt with some of the most legendary names iconic to Mopar, like Panther Pink, Go Mango, and Pistol Shifters, and much, much more. And we also have something special for you small block guys. The new Order of the Small Block. This one has the timing rotation of the small block LA and Magnum motors listed there on the back. And we still have plenty of our What Does Mopar Mean to You shirt and our Order of the Big Block shirt. You guys can find these all at the Mopar Connection store at www.moparconnectionmagazine.com/shop. All right, well, as you guys know, we have a pretty beat up window regulator here. It's missing, I want to say 2 guide wheels, if not 3. It's also missing the channel keeper, which unfortunately we do not have a solution for currently, so we'll have to figure something out. Rather than wrestling with the whole mechanism inside of the quarter panel, we're going to try to take it out, the glass and everything, see if we can't change out some of the guide wheels and then slide it back in. We'll see how successful we are.
Yeah.
one big thing that was kind of a hang up with Marsha was the quarter window regulator that we had. We were missing one of the nylon guides that was back here, and we had to drill it out. We didn't show the process, sorry. We literally just took a grinder and ground off the end, and thankfully it literally just fell right out. And then the replacement, where did we find the replacement? We found it on eBay, didn't we?
Yeah.
It was literally on eBay.
Yeah.
And we just made sure it was the right size. We had measured this side and bought it off of eBay for about $9. Showed up a week later, and no joke, there's a flat spot just like this. How there's a flat spot here, there's a flat spot right on the ball socket, and I took a 4-pound sledge and gave it about 3 whacks, and it
peened it right over.
Yeah, it mushroomed it right there, and it's nice and tight. So now we're just greasing the snot out of everything to make sure it travels real nice. And no one on earth makes these. We just searched and searched and searched and could not find anyone to make this nylon guide, or who had this nylon guide. So Jim found a spare one of these guides. We have it soaking in some WD-40 over in the Ziploc over there, and we're gonna put it on that and see if it works. If not, we won't use it, of course, but I think we have a really good chance of it working and acting as the back guide for the track. So we're gonna let this thing marinate a little bit more in the WD-40, and then we are going to hook it all together and then fight it inside of Marsha. So big thanks to Jim for helping out with those 2 parts. And let's see if we actually have a quarter window that we can put in and adjust. Hey guys, we've got a new set of carburetor tool hats. These are fantastic tools for a lot of you guys who are looking at getting the most performance out of your carburetors. These 3D printed American made carbon fiber infused hats are super durable. They're designed to take an absolute beating, being thrown across the shop, being beaten on, dropped, you name it, they'll absolutely take it. They've been 3D printed with the Mopar Connection logo on them, and they include this really neat separated top. They also have all these pockets for your tools. They even have little pockets here for smaller tools and for all your jets. These are designed to fit all traditional style carburetors and will even fit your factory Carter style carburetor. And even if you're running fuel injection, they make a good cover just in case you're working on the engine and you don't want anything falling inside. Of course, you can flip it right over and you can keep all your carburetor tools inside of it, your extra jets, everything you need, maybe even some extra gaskets, so that if you are doing a lot of work on your carburetor, this little guy will be everything you need to take along in the trunk of your car to keep you up and running. If you're interested in one of these, why don't you head over to moparconnectionmagazine.com/shop, where you can find one of these guys for sale, as well as our t-shirts. Hey guys, so I'm currently working on some of the brightwork for Marsha, and a lot of you guys might already know that it's not chrome. It's not the traditional kind of chrome work that you'd see on, you know, traditional hot rods. All this stuff is, if it's not aluminum that has been plated, it is pot metal, and it has some really rough surfaces, and it too has been plated. So the right way that a lot of guys will tell you is that it needs to be stripped, it needs to be dipped, and be replated again. And most people, myself included, just aren't going to pay to do that for, quite frankly, for a car that's not necessarily a collector's item. If I was really trying to be 100% OE, then yeah, that would be the route I would take. But I'm going to show you a little bit of my process in cleaning up the emblems first, because I found a solution that I really like and is replicable and is pretty quick and, quite frankly, a lot more affordable. So first and foremost, let's talk about our Fury tags here. So again, I'm gonna move the camera, I'm gonna get in close, I'm gonna show you a little bit about my steps here. All right, so this is our fender tag for the Fury, and as you can see, it is just a traditional pot metal, cast pot metal, and then it's been plated. Then the factory would go in and they would paint the inside, and then they would give one last pass to scrub off any extra paint. So I technically kind of replicate that. I replicate this a little bit in the way that first I take it onto a brass wheel. A brass wheel is not really abrasive. It's surprisingly successful at knocking off a lot of discoloring, a lot of oxidation, and because these brass wires are actually pretty good about getting in on some of the tighter edges, I of course will let it, as it rotates, I'll try to keep it in alignment with the rotation. I really don't want it to catch, because I don't want to break this. Replacing one of these is a pill, and finding a collector who would have one, I just don't want to go through that hassle. So I'm being very conservative about how much polishing I'm doing, how deep I go in there. I really don't put any pressure on. I'm not really going nuts in trying to make this mirrored finish. I just want to get a little bit of the luster back, and as you can see, we're pretty successful in that. It's, again, not exactly per factory, and it's not going to be, you know, mirror reflected. It's just going to be good enough for this one. Then I give it a little bit of a pass. I have a green Scotch pad. I've been using a red Scotch pad, but I just wore it out. So I've just been doing a little bit of my finer scrubbing here. I also will use the edge of the Scotch pad to get into the corners a little bit and to just scrub away there. And I'll show you what I mean. And just taking the pad and really not going bananas, but just going in there and getting a little bit of our tighter corners to get a little bit of the oxidation out. And it'll take a few more passes than just what I'm showing here. But again, I'm really not going super aggressive. Because again, I mean, we see a lot of the yellowing here. And it pokes up here. And like, that's a really bad corner. So you'd want to come in, maybe even double it over if you can't. There you go. And really just... already that looks a lot better, and that just took 3 or 4 little passes. But I've been going ahead with my other ones, and I wanted to show you, was the paint is still drying on this one, but you can see the difference on what a paint pen can do in getting that nice inset. And here are the Fury 3 logos right next to it. Here's the trick with this one, and I know the shadow of the camera is kind of messing things up. Let's see if I can't move. A lot of guys will use, say, like a bottle of nail polish. What I did is I ran over to Walmart, no joke, literally over to Walmart in their arts and crafts section, and grabbed their oil-based pens. And this is oil-based. This is not water-based. This is kind of an arts and crafts pen that they sell. And I bought, here are the other ones. I bought 2 of the medium, 1 fine, and 1 extra fine right here. And the trick with these, let me show you, is that you're able to push it, you're able to push the felt tip down, and you're able to bleed the ink out. You're able to bleed that pen. And when you're able to bleed that pen, you can follow and actually push a lot of the paint into the corners here. So you want the bleeding effect that you get from a paint pen. They will have pens that say there's no bleeding. You don't want that. You want bleeding. Bleeding is good because you're going to be able to manipulate the paint where it goes. And you can still see that we got some shine here in the corners. Let me get out of the light. And that shine is going to dry. It does dry reasonably flat. I have done, this is my 3rd coat just to really get in there. And you can see the finer areas, the tighter areas, still have a little bit of a sheen, a little bit of a wet paint effect. But I'm not saying this brand is the best paint pen brand by any means. These are what I found at 8 o'clock last night at a Walmart. But they surprisingly did the trick. In fact, the medium tip pen was almost too thick. I would have gone with a regular fine pen, maybe grabbed 2 of the fines, and I've only used the very fine in the tightest little situations. Like right here, that's very fine, and in the joint, the connection, the tighter areas, like right there. And of course, right here, all through the F. The very fine does the trick in getting the ink in there. I've already done the P and the L. P is going to need a 2nd coat, but I'm going over the factory paint on the rest of the Plymouth emblems here. But you'll see just how easy it is with this medium fine tip paint pen. Again, this is oil-based paint. It is not water-based, and it is not ink. It is a paint pen. There is a big difference. Your Sharpie marker, even if you get a fine Sharpie, is ink. It's not paint. So you're gonna be real mindful of that when you're going over these. Again, I am no professional pinstriper. I am certainly not Von Dutch. But, yeah, you can see where I smudged quite a bit. Okay, well, yeah, I'm smudged quite a bit on the bottom of the O. There, you can see it on my fingers. We'll have to go back with our Scotch-Brite pad, take off what extra paint I left there. But thankfully, it's very forgiving. Even though it's cold outside, it'll take about an hour to dry. It's only about 65 degrees outside. Actually, it's about 60. It was supposed to get up to 65 today. It's only 60 right now. But we'll give this an hour or two. See? All right. We'll give this about an hour or two to dry. And then I'll come by with the Scotch-Brite. Just use the Scotch-Brite pad to scrub on the faces just a little bit. And that should allow me to clean up my O. See how it's all pulled down there. P is gonna need another coat. It's still very soft. Yeah, it's still very wet. Why don't we give that one a shot? All right, so we'll take our medium pen. Our medium is maybe a little bit too aggressive because it's getting our edges. You can see I got my edges there. I'm gonna go back with the fine, see if I can't touch that up. Last little bit. See how much ink I've gotten on the sides here? That's too bad. Here, let's just even that out. There. Still very wet. It's gonna take a while to dry. We'll come in, we'll scrub with the Scotch-Brite and clean up our edges. But that'll clean up nice. Obviously, we need to take the grill and we're gonna redo all the black out here in the grill and in the headlight bezels. But I wanted to show you how easy it is to fill in on the trim pieces with just a couple dollars worth of paint pens. Okay, so that's gonna pretty much wrap up today's video on just some updates with Project Marsha. As you can see, I've got one piece of the belt trim on. It's on loosely. It's only held on by a couple clips. I've been experimenting with different kinds of clips. Unfortunately, no one makes the plastic push-in clips that originally came from the factory. I have looked and looked and looked. I've asked C-body clubs. I have asked clip manufacturers. Nobody makes them. Murray came up empty. So basically, I was on my own to kind of come up with a solution. So I'm going to show you my process on the belt trim because it is aluminum. It's very soft and it is plated, and I'm not replating everything. So I figured, what the heck? I'm just going to do it my way. So again, it's not perfect. So I don't have a good answer for you guys. Other than that, we've got a couple little things. Again, I mentioned we got some help from our friends at Year One. Big thanks to them. They've been helping out. A couple things I wanted to note is, first, we got, these were originally blue plastic, the door locks. I went with chrome. Chrome looks a little bit nicer and had some really nice new knurls. These came out really good, and let me show you what these look like compared to the originals. The originals were just really faded out, and of course the originals just really were discolored, and I wanted to have a little bit of a cleaner look. And then the last little bit is a neat little neat little touch, and that is the caution instructions for the convertible top. So that was something really cool. I just wanted to get that on there. I don't know why a sticker makes me so happy, but it does. All right, so with that, we're going to conclude. We've got a lot of work left on Marsha. In fact, we just buttoned up her 440 with the new Edelbrock E Street heads. We're going to be doing a little bit of an intake manifold shootout, which is cool, and a little bit of a carburetor shootout. So stay tuned for that. That should be coming up in a couple, probably about 2 months. So that'll conclude this video. If you guys liked it, why don't you give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, and definitely share it with your friends to help us grow the channel. If you want more awesome Mopar content, this is not just a YouTube channel. Mopar Connection Magazine is the only daily digital Mopar magazine officially licensed through Stellantis, FCA, Mopar, whatever you want to call them. And we do publish new articles every single day, Monday through Friday, entirely subscription free. As long as you got a Wi-Fi signal, you can read the magazine. So why don't you go check it out? Maybe hit the subscribe button. It's a free subscription for the newsletter. And until then, we'll see you there.